just a little backstory. We talked a little bit about it before. You and I met like 20 years ago. I was actually going to Bhutan originally because of the sourcing of cordyceps, because it was so unique back then. It was selling for $14,000 a kilo,
Wow.
right? And from them, I started to understand the gross national happiness kind of idea of governance, whereas they would only harvest X amount and leave the other so that it would get always replenish. And then I
Right.
started realizing the environmental side. And so this whole thing, and then Bhutan and understanding, like I was looking at cordyceps, next thing I know, I'm, getting all this information on gross national happiness. And I was absolutely blown away and inspired. And then I put that team together and we ended up at a meeting with you.
Right.
And I know you guys were so stoked, but you were still kind of figuring out what you were going to do. Anyway, ended up finding money and we went and we shot this whole thing, and seeing the harvesting of real wild cordyceps was pretty phenomenal. But that also, I started to understand your desire of and heard how important health was to you. Obviously, keeping this body temple tuned in and tuned on, and
Right.
the amount of energy that I can only imagine that you have been cultivating for so long. Obviously, it's super important to keep your body in tune.
Well, extremely. I mean, the body's an optic nerve, and when as the statement goes, when you have perfect sight, your body lights up from within out. But most people don't understand that you're really fueling your body so that you can do your dharma.
Yes.
And the body has to be strong enough to hold the cosmic energy. So all of the living foods, the right exercise, right hydration, right nutrition is not for vanity. It's actually be able to hold more energy so that you can do the work that you're called to do on the planet. So for me, I've been into it for a long time. I had a spiritual awakening, over 40 years ago. And so that was a deep spiritual, I could see 365 degrees without eyes, and
Right.
I could feel the love and the beauty. And then it was a little bit of time after that, I was eating a piece of chicken and I could feel the pain of the chicken.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I was really very sensitive.
Right.
And I said, what's going on with me? And I said, I could feel it. So I remember, I said, I'm not going to eat this anymore. And I remember my mother was so concerned because I didn't eat a lot of vegetables in those days.
Right.
And she was saying, what are you going to eat? And I said, I'm going to eat vegetables.
It's like a complete flip.
It was a complete flip.
Right.
And then that's when I discovered, like you were talking about, I discovered, first of all, you don't need direct protein to get protein.
Totally.
And then I discovered about the environmental impact of, overgrazing the lands with cattle and things of that particular nature. So I learned about, taking care of the animals. I learned that you don't need direct protein. And I learned about the environment, so it kind of just evolved to the point where I became plant-based. And I have never really looked back.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then I'll have something that has something in it, but I'm not
too crazy about it.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm a flexitarian.
Yeah.
But mainly vegan.
Yeah.
I don't even like putting labels on it. I just eat mainly plants.
Well, it's like, and let's just highlight that even more. You're eating things that feel good to you, that line up and are integrated and light up your body, rather than feeling that karmic debt that you now are sensitive to. And I love that. And there's so many, I feel like I could talk to you forever, because I wrote my first book, plant-based book, called Super Life. And I say this all the time. Hey, all this stuff is not to obsess about it, integrate it, habitualize it, so that so your body feels great.
Right.
And this chemistry set works for you.
Right.
And you can kick some ass.
Right. You can go forth and do what you're called to do. You don't have to be on the flight and fight chemistry all the time. You can produce dopamine and serotonin and, the tonic chemicals versus the toxic chemicals. So your immune system is firing properly, your digestion, your assimilation, your elimination. So the body temple is actually the temple of the living God.
Yeah.
So why not take care of it
Yeah.
in a sweet way? And you have plenty of energy to do what you're called to do.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing. And I love that kind of you really got my attention when I started understanding that level of integration. And let's just say many leaders, uh, great things to follow, but there's sometimes a right turn that doesn't make sense, right? There's not an integration. They're not taking care of themselves. I've met many along the way, and then at some level, yeah, cool, there's a message, but then when you're not fully integrated in all of these ways, then some of that message can be lost or limited.
Yeah, absolutely. I know great gurus,
Yeah.
that can really attain a certain level of consciousness, but then their assistants will call me and say, "Hey, he's sick.
Right.
He's overweight. He's obese. He's channeling the great consciousness, but the body temple is deteriorating at a rapid pace." And so I think it's spirit, it's mind, it's body, and you have to basically deal with all of it. And we're spiritual beings having a human incarnation.
Mm-hmm.
And so the body temple is a vehicle for communication and light and love and beauty and creativity. So why not take care of it?
Yeah.
And again, it's not about vanity. It's about allowing the body temple to be able to carry luminosity and light.
Yeah.
You take care of your mind with hanging with high-minded, open-hearted people. I always say it's not food for thought. You have thought for food. You make sure you're in high conversation. You're reading the good stuff. So you have good thought for food. And then take care of the spirit with your affirmative prayer, your meditation, your life visioning, your particular practices that you will do to align the body with the light. And after a while, it's not hard. It's not like, oh, I got to get up and do all of this. It just becomes a part of your life, the same way that other habits have become a part of people's life. You allow good habits to become a part of your life, and after a while, you're not even thinking about it.
Right.
Just what you do on a daily basis,
Probably like you.
Mhm.
Do I obsess over what I'm eating? No, because it's so ingrained in my subconscious that I'm taking care of myself, so I'm not running around obsessed over what I'm eating,
Right.
And that's the difference. And
Yeah.
people see that from the outside going, "Oh, there's no way I can eat like that."
Right.
What do you say to people like that?
Everyone is the same. The only thing that separates us is our habits,
Yeah.
so that once you start a habit of health
Yeah.
and it becomes a habit, then you don't think about it anymore. It's just what you do. You drink good water. You eat living foods. You have good supplementation, and it just becomes a part of your life. But in the beginning, some people can become overzealous
Yeah.
and become, like you say, obsessed. Don't eat that. Don't do that. Don't, like when people stop drinking, all of a sudden they want no one to drink.
Right.
Don't drink that. But after a while, you just mellow out.
Yeah.
You just take care of yourself.
Integrate a little more.
Yeah, and you're not judgmental. I don't have any judgment on what people do.
Right.
If they ask me a question and they want to know, I'll break it down for them. But I'm not running around trying to change everybody's habits.
Right.
I just live my life, let it be an example. And if they ask, I'll share.
Mm-hmm.
But I think basically people have been enculturated into bad habits.
Yeah.
We have paid advertisement called the news, corporatocracy,
Right.
telling you about the benefits of dairy and things like that. And people actually believe that.
Yeah.
They actually believe that you need a certain level of meat in order to sustain the body temple. And they actually believe it, and it's nonsensical. It's not real.
Yeah. That brings me to this part where I've heard you talk in some of your sermons and stuff, and it just makes me smile. the second book I'm writing is called Fatal Conveniences.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this understanding. It's like, it's kind of obsessively interesting because everywhere I look, personal care products, right?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of clothes we wear, electromagnetic fields,
Mm-hmm.
all of these things, there's a type of toxic kind of mess that we've created, and it keeps getting perpetuated. And we could also talk, which we don't have to, about, injections for health and whatever all of that stuff is. And so, in a lot of ways, I see so much inversion of the global society, right? They're
Yeah.
on the news, they're telling you this when it's actually the opposite. You need this, put this on, spray this on your body. Some alarming things like fire retardants are in baby bibs, which
Mm.
are also endocrine disruptors and
Mm.
phthalates. And it's so all of that stuff, which I could go into in nauseum.
Right.
What I see as I keep looking, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job of like not going, whoa, we're screwed. Because the point is to face it
Mm-hmm.
and then to do something different.
Mm-hmm.
And you, to me, you feel like a kind of guy that is like that. So you're aware.
Yeah.
And then what do we do about it?
Right.
Right? And that's what I love about you. What I perceive about you is that you're very much an action person. You're not just sitting there speaking, which you have a gift of gab, that's for sure, right? As you channel. But what do you do with so much of this? Because every turn, we seem to have profits and power over health, true abundance. What's your, like, how do you kind of move forward and in spite of all of that
Mm-hmm.
seems inverted,
Right.
what's your path towards like a
Well,
potentially different?
there's like two levels.
Yeah.
One is understanding that we're on the arc of an evolution, a evolution, kind of, in which the old paradigm is dying.
Yeah.
The old paradigm is for the love of power rather than the power of love, to quote Jimi Hendrix. And that's dying, but we're in the midst of it.
Right.
And so right makes might, profit basically trumps everything. That's the old paradigm. And that's dying now because it's not sustainable. Yeah. But we're in the middle of it. So on one level, our spiritual practices gives us a level of protection from the electromagnetic disease and the energy. It's like at Agape, for instance, I had certain devices in the community. I didn't tell the community about it, but eliminated 4 and 5G, eliminated all the elf ways, eliminated. So when you walked into the sanctuary there, you were not affected by that stuff because I bought the equipment and put it in the sanctuary.
Right.
But here's the deal. When they came in to put it in, they would measure our auric fields with dowsing and things of that particular nature. And then they would plug in the equipment, and they would show that once they plugged in the equipment, the auric field would be very expanded because we were no longer being impacted by the debris from the electromagnetic fields. But they looked at me and they says, yours didn't change. They says, yours just stayed expanded, whether we plugged it in or didn't plug it in. They didn't know
your individual.
Yeah, my individual auric field.
Yeah.
So they said, well, he's the teacher. And they said, oh yeah, in other words, my practice kept me protected. Yeah. However, I did use the technology.
Sure.
And I have technology that I use in my home, in my car. If, I have a hybrid, so the battery is not healthy.
Right.
So I have to have a certain level of technology in my car that does not allow that battery to affect me. Mm-hmm. So I tell people, get some technology until you can actually hold the field yourself.
Right.
So we're in a space where a lot of what's out there is not good for us. It's harmful. Yeah. That electromagnetic debris is harmful to us, harmful to our immune system.
Serious pollution.
Serious pollution to the immune system. It creates a condition for disease. A lot of the diseases that people are having right now is because they're in this soup of pollution, electromagnetic pollution. So you have to have a spiritual practice, and then you have to find what technology works for you. And they're not that expensive, by the way.
There's a lot out there. Some
Yeah.
of them are a little not grounded and maybe taking advantage of it. And there's some other
Yeah.
stuff. I actually was just talking to a German guy this morning.
Norbert?
No,
Mhm.
his name's Hagen. And when
Yeah.
I actually, his dad was an engineer.
Mm-hmm.
He was electrosensitive at 14.
Yeah.
He started learning from his father. He had to live in the woods in Germany.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people are very sensitive like that.
Yeah, and so later in talking with him, he wasn't really sure how far to go, but I kept probing. I said, "But how?" Because he's got this device. You literally just set it here, and he's peer-reviewed
Mhm.
research, like
Yeah.
no joke,
Yeah.
right? And I go, "But how did you really figure it out?" And he basically leaned in. He said, "Well, it was kind of downloaded."
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he
He
didn't
didn't want to scare you off.
Exactly. Exactly, and then he implemented it,
Mhm.
and then it was very important to him to actually have it validated.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan
Yeah.
of facing these things so that we can do something about it. And again, these things are pretty scary in the sense of we're just willy-nilly, 42,000 are supposed to go up by,
The 5Gs?
yeah,
I
by
know those are very dangerous. I have one in my home, a device that goes out 150 square feet up and down that stops all 4 and 5G from coming into my home.
Yeah.
And then I have a small one that's portable.
Oh, nice.
That you're in it right now because I have it in my pocket.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So it's about 30 feet.
Yeah.
And it's been verified. It's been tested. It's also out of Germany.
Right.
They're good. Those guys know what they're doing.
Yeah,
He's a scientist.
Around,
He's a scientist out of Germany, and
would you care to say their name?
his name is Norbert Hauser, I think. This is what it looks like. And then I have one around my neck, and it prevents anyone who's been vaccinated. It prevents any shedding.
Right.
And if anybody who has been vaccinated wears it, it eliminates the adverse effects of the vaccine, but keeps the good stuff.
Right.
He also has one for food. You just put it in your refrigerator, or you put it in your kitchen, and it knocks out all of the GMO stuff or any inorganic stuff in the food. It's quantum.
Yeah. It's quantum.
So
yeah, and we're moving into that space pretty powerfully, and now we're able to get more sensitive equipment to be able to actually
you can test this,
prove some of these things.
Yeah.
And like this EMF stuff, the scary thing about it is that it's invisible.
Yeah.
Right. And if people aren't sensitive, they're just they're just dealing with it, but their bodies literally are being affected by it
every single day.
Yeah.
And many people have lost their sensitivity, because they're putting a lot of sugar in their body, carbonated drinks, food that doesn't have any nutritional value. So they're little by little desensitizing themselves.
Yeah.
Then they're bombarding themselves with news, which lowers their frequency. And so then their body's on fight and flight all the time, and they get addicted to the cortisol rushing through their body, and they think that's normal.
Yeah.
They don't even know what peace of mind is.
Yeah.
They don't even know what ecstasy is, what joy.
Yeah.
They've lost their way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's so many people listening right now, and what are some steps you think through the mind-body path? I know you have some personal visioning steps and programs and things, but what are some things that people can listen and they know on the soul level, what you're doing and what works and what doesn't. What are some things that people can at least start doing to start developing a better habit towards their kind of own peace? Let's just call that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, intention is very important.
Yeah.
Without intention, you are a ship in the ocean with no rudder.
Right.
You're just allowing you're living a life of reaction to whatever's happening in the world.
And there's a lot happening.
There's a lot happening, and so you're always reacting to it.
Yeah.
When you have intention, then your intention opens you up to inspiration. Like if you have an intention to be grateful, you have an intention to grow into your greater self, if you establish it's an intention, I want to be a better version of myself every day, then what happens is you become now available to obtain inspired thoughts from the infinite that guide you in that direction. Now, if you don't have intention, then you pick up thoughts from what I call the sea of mental garbage.
Right.
You know, all of this stuff that's going on can then fill your mind and pull you in a direction where you don't want to go. So I say that oftentimes people are living, they have an intention deficit disorder. They have no intention.
Yeah.
So they end up being where they don't want to be, but since they didn't have an intention, then they're just pulled to anywhere.
Yeah.
So like when I wake up in the morning, I go into a deep sense of gratitude.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to exist, just grateful. And then I ask, what's my assignment for the day? I just open myself up. What's my assignment? And then I say, I'm available to have the strength and the wherewithal to complete the assignment that comes by my path. And then I have an intention to grow. So then I go out into the world, and whatever comes into my space, obviously I have, tasks that I have to do and things of that particular nature, then I'm available, and I know I'm being guided from what I would call divine mind, rather than being pulled by human mind, you see, which is corrupt, and so that's on a spiritual level. Then going back to what you were saying earlier, then you make sure that you have proper nutrition, proper hydration, proper exercise, proper rest, you see. And then you make sure that, the most dangerous people in the world are people who don't have a vision.
Yeah.
They have no, so don't hang around with those people. If you're one of them, change. Yeah. Don't associate with individuals that do not have a vision of a greater possibility for their life, for their neighborhood, for the world, And I'm not putting anybody down, I'm not judging people, but you actually become the company that you keep.
Totally.
So if you're associating with people that don't have vision, are not speaking about higher possibilities, then you know where your life is going to be in the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be no possibility, and you're going to be constantly reacting to the world.
Yeah.
That's we are cosmic beings having a human incarnation, and we're losing just a little tiny bit of our potential. And primarily that potential is being used for survival rather than thriving, rather than energetic creativity, generosity, beauty, art.
And it takes that conscious step, right? It takes that I'm intending today. I'm asking of myself something, and I'm opening myself up, and it feels, asking a question without directly getting an answer, in a sense, like, you're opening yourself up. And I think that's one of the greatest medicines that is not being used, period.
Yes,
right?
You're right on target. The universal presence through universal law will answer every question that you ask. So we have to have an appreciative inquiry. Most people ask the wrong questions. They ask, what's wrong? Who's to blame?
Right.
And why me?
Right.
And the universe will answer that question, but it'll take you down a spiral of negativity, misinterpretation of your past. But if you ask, how can I serve today? How can I grow today? How can I give today? How can I be a better version of myself today? You'll get that answer. And it may not come like a voice in your head, but you'll start to be pulled into arenas that answer that question for you.
Yeah.
And you'll find yourself month after month after month being in different environments, being better versions of yourself, and things that you thought were impossible to the small personality that you were last year, you're now living in a whole different frequency, whole different field, whole different group of people by asking the right questions. Yeah. It's, as you say, it's great medicine.
Yeah. I had I forget the title of the book. Her name's Marta Zarska. She was a straight up science writer.
Mhm.
right? Really smart. And she asked herself a question. What's the greatest anti-aging thing I could do?
Mm.
She really looked into it, right? And lo and behold, you know what she found? Doing good
Doing
for
good.
someone.
That's right. You have it on your hat. Kindness, pass it
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Like, it's literally that simple, but if you don't do it, you don't get it,
Right.
right? And it's like stepping out of yourself, and it's even that doing it for a result.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah.
You know, I was in London at this talk, and I walked by this homeless guy, and something about it, like, usually I just go on a feeling and I
Mhm.
will help or not help or whatever based on a feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kept walking. It was a half a block down, and I couldn't drop it.
Right.
I turn around. I go, "Hey, what do you need?"
Mhm.
We go into a convenience store, just start
Getting
doing all of that
yeah.
and giving him what he needed. And there was a certain point where he was like grabbing all this shit. And I said, "Bro, just like,
Just take what you need.
I think that's yeah, exactly. I think that's good. I don't even think you can carry all that
Yeah.
stuff." But no one else knew,
Yeah.
you know? The
Yeah.
cashier, me, and that guy.
Right.
But the gift, and it's even easy for me to blow that off,
Right.
right? I did walk away,
Right, right.
but it's just like, ugh, it's so easy
Yeah.
to blow off the touches,
Right, right,
the
right.
feather touch of the universe, because that's, for me, I feel like aside from needing to learn something, I definitely get the backhand
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes,
yeah, 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 yeah.
but it's that feather touch.
Yeah.
And the more, for me, when I've listened to it, it grows. And then there's a relationship that's building between me and the spirit.
That's right.
And then now I have a personal relationship because it's starting to help me personally. And then it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And you know this, but it's like I'm even saying this to remind myself even more that literally kindness without any need for anything
No
is
attachment.
so gifting.
Totally, totally being out there with all systems go without an attachment
Yeah.
to an outcome.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because, Harvard has done a lot of tests on this, a lot of things that we know,
Right.
studying what happens when people are kind,
Right.
people are generous,
Yeah.
and then studying what happens to people who are watching somebody be kind and generous. The same tonic chemicals start to flow through their body. The aging process slows down. They get more coherent in the hemispheres of the brain.
Yeah.
Just watching somebody be kind, not even doing the kind act.
Right.
And so we are literally wired to support each other, to be kind, to be generous, to be forgiving, to be loving. And we've been invaded by all of this toxicity of thought that keeps us insulated and fearful and paranoid about each other rather than totally giving. And you said something very important, that when you get into the habit of doing that, you start to have a personal revelation of this truth. But no one can go beyond having a personal revelation. No one can give it to you. That other people can inspire you, but once you have a personal revelation of it, you got it forever. It's like, this is it. This works. Yeah. And I think that if people wake up and say, how can I serve today? How can I give today? And what happens is the hands of the givers are never empty. So most people are waking up saying, how can I get today?
Right.
How can I accumulate more today? How can I take? That's how we've been trained in a materialistic society. But if we reverse it and say, how can I give? How can I share? How can I circulate? You get the first benefit of it because the universe gives you something to give.
Yeah.
So you get it first.
Yeah.
So you get blessed in your giving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something really critical before, in the sense that you start with that gratitude.
Yeah.
Because it's like we've been trained in this society to just go, what's my list of things that I need to do or have or find, or in order to fill this never-ending cup?
This imaginary void within us.
Yeah.
It's imaginary because we have everything.
Right. Yeah.
It's an imaginary hole.
What do you think that damn purpose is, other than just this great awakening? I mean, it's not, I don't want to say it flippantly, because I'm really inspired by now and future simultaneously.
Yeah. Are you asking me what I think the purpose is?
Yeah, I mean, because
Our purpose?
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Our purpose is to reflect and to reveal the cosmos, to allow it to become conscious as our life. It's like you look at everything has a built-in intentionality. An acorn has an intentionality to be an oak tree.
yeah,
You know, a seed of a rose has the intentionality of being a rose bush and proliferating the environment with all of that beauty. We have an intentionality to reflect the entire cosmos according to our unique pattern. We have this faculty that allows us to think independent of any experience. That means we can create out of nothing. We can create exactly like God, out of nothing. You know, the Big Bang, you know, there was not even a grain of sand that existed. And then out of nothing, cosmos, multidimensional universes, solar systems, galaxies, living biology, all the way to us being able to reflect the cosmos. So we get to do the same thing. So our purpose is to do exactly that according to our uniqueness. Everybody has we all have the same purpose, but we all have different missions. You know, the way they're to do that, maybe they're to be an artist, maybe they're to be a healer, maybe they're to be a teacher, you know, maybe they're to be a shining example of some way. So we have the same purpose, but we all get to do it differently, you know, and we do it from a sense of what I say fulfillment, not from a sense of fulfillment.
yeah,
You know, people are trying to go into fulfillment. It's going to fill myself with all of this external stuff. But when we start with the awareness that I'm already fulfilled, I already have everything, how can I give it?
yeah,
Then we're fulfilling our purpose to reflect and to reveal the face of divinity as only we can. And I'm not talking religiosity.
Right.
This is not religion.
right,
Religion is a boat that takes you to the transcendent. And some people just never get out the boat.
right,
They just stay in the boat and they start to fight over the boat. You know, my boat's better than your boat.
Yeah.
You know, and they forgot what the boat was up for. The boat is to get you to a destination
yeah,
of being in this transcendent yet immanent awareness of your oneness with life.
Yeah.
You see,
yeah,
you know, so it is about awakening, but awakening to be the soulful artist that
Yeah.
we're meant to be.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful in that way, because I don't know where this came from in my life, certainly through challenges. And, you know, you can look at, I lost everything I owned on
Yeah,
the property
this
that we're
is-
sitting, right?
Yeah.
It was there, as far as you could see, there was not an insect, a blade of grass, nothing. And obviously you grieve through that, but I would never take it back.
Mm-hmm.
It gave me so much,
Mm-hmm.
because the vision I have and starting to manifest,
Right.
the clean green technologies, the food forests,
Right.
I'm going to bump up against the system that I don't believe is correct in
Right.
terms of free energy society
yeah,
and sovereignty and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I definitely will not back down from that fight. But the gift, and that's again, that's a practice. It's not, for me, it's not easy to always receive things that are definitely happening to you,
Mhm,
right? You're
mhm.
getting hit with stuff.
Mhm.
But then at some point, you have to shift that, grieve through it. And I want you to speak to that, because I know for me, I think it's a freaking superpower of magnitude when you
Mhm.
realize nothing is happening to me. It's definitely happening for me.
Absolutely.
Speak to that a little bit, because people right now, certainly now, of inflation
Mm.
and food shortages
Mhm.
and products not showing up and whatever it is, and financially just lost.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you are an example of being the tip of the spear of transformation and evolution. So everything that you're doing in terms of the green, in terms of the sustainability, in terms of the energy, in terms of all of that, you're the tip of the spear of the next stage of our evolving as a species, coming out of an old paradigm of control, an old paradigm of profit, you know. So you are on that, you're on that leading edge so that you're going to take the bumps and the bruises of breaking out of that paradigm. Now, everything that we're going through is for us, meaning that there's no problem without a solution. It doesn't exist in a universe.
Right.
In a universe, there's no such thing as a problem. A problem comes from the word emblem. It means that what we're facing is emblematic of a state of consciousness that's being projected into the world. So there's no problem without a solution. The solution is expanded awareness, possibility, and then action from that possibility. So we're all being pushed out of the caterpillar stage into the butterfly, into the next level of transformation. And for some, it's fearful. For some, it's creating paranoia. For some, they're locked in survival. And for others, they have a vision. Like you have a vision of possibility. So you're being pulled by a vision of what's possible that some people don't even know about. Many people don't even know about you can have free energy. People don't even know about the fact that you can actually, for $165, buy the material to develop a Tesla coil that can give you free light and energy. Most people don't even know about that.
Right.
You know, people are building them in New York right now so that when the next blackout, they're going to have light. You know, they're building them right, you know, it's happening now in real time, you know, and most people are just scared. So right now we're facing a big issue, energy, food, you know, water. Even though the earth is three-fourths water, they keep telling us there's a shortage. There's no shortage. The only thing there's a shortage of is technology to just clean the water, you know, and it's not even a shortage of that. It's just making you believe that there's a shortage. There is no shortage.
Right.
There's no shortage of anything.
Right.
You know, you can go online right now, right this moment. Anybody who's listening, you can go on right now and type and put into Google, you know, water dispenser that turns water from air. You can buy one right now.
Yeah.
And you don't never have to buy water again.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that exists today.
Yeah.
You know, and so all of the answers to the problems already exist, but you have to look for them. Going back to what we were saying before, you have to ask the right questions. And then you'll find yourself little by little by little off the grid, you know, having your needs met. You know, instead of having a big lawn in your backyard, maybe you should grow some collard greens, plant an avocado tree, have some apples, have some herbs. You know, I remember a number of years ago when the major supermarkets were trying to make it illegal for people to grow their own gardens, saying that it was going to attract mosquitoes and then we're going to have these disease from the mosquitoes, you know, and eventually the citizenry woke up and the law was pushed back. But they tried.
It's amazing.
You know, they tried to keep people from having their sovereign gardens.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
I think it's like 33,000 acres of lawn in the United States.
Yeah.
Right. So we're spraying mostly, you know, we're Roundup, you know.
And we're using all that water.
Right. We're using all that water and we can actually grow food.
Yeah.
And if we did that, it would, I think the stat is if we actually converted those 33,000 acres from lawn to food, we would reverse all the excess CO2 just in the United States alone.
Right.
Like, and you would have sovereignty back.
Right.
Right? You'd have food.
And that's the movement we're in. I mean, that's what, you know, I'm looking at my backyard now. I just moved back into a house that I own, and we're already looking at where we're going to put the avocado trees, where we're going to put, you know, where we're going to grow the herbs, where we're going to grow whatever, you know, we're going to take as much as possible to do that.
Yeah.
And it's essential.
Yeah. Well, that's
particularly, you know, we have fossil fuels, and if those trucks stop running and you can't get to the supermarket, what you going to do?
Right.
So you better get your water.
Yeah.
You better have some foodstuffs.
Yeah.
You know, and because you know we're totally dependent upon a system that could stop any moment. Yeah. I don't want to make people fearful, but I want to make people progressive in how they think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is too, it's like there's no downside to that.
Yeah.
Right? If you grow your own food, guess what? It's healthier food.
It's healthier.
Right? It hasn't been plucked early.
Right.
Hasn't been trucked everywhere.
Right.
And it's fresh. You're connected to it. the microbiological system you're connected to.
It's local. It's right there in your own backyard.
It's local. Yeah, all of these things, and like you said, the air to water technology. Shit, I've had one of those machines 17 years ago. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
They've been around. They tried to. Remember they had one in Flint,
Yeah.
and the water company came in and destroyed it.
Yeah.
I mean, they won't admit to it.
You're right.
But
And
people
gave
have
them really high quality water. Then later, oh Jesus.
but they're in those machines are in different parts of Africa now where there's droughts.
Yeah.
You know, and when I tell people about them, they're like, "What? You're making water out of air?" Yeah.
I mean, the biggest limitation of those is there's power, right? So you still need the power, and we're working on some stuff right now with a good friend of mine who's using some clean tech where he can desalinate on demand. And it's not even excess power. We're creating the power. And then so all global communities close to the sea, boom, fresh, clean water.
I need it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is stuff that's, it's a whole nother rabbit hole of some technology that we're going to be incubating.
See, that there is where we're heading as a species.
Yeah.
It is, for us, it seems like it's going at a snail's pace, but in the arc of evolution, it's really going really fast.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's happening.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we look towards 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, a lot of the things we're talking about now are going to be in place the same way 40 years ago. We were always talking about spiritual principles and certain ways of eating that are now trending.
Yeah.
It's now becoming like a trend.
Yeah.
The same things that we're talking about now will start to trend.
Yeah.
You know, we're just the pioneers of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, we have to face this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, and I love that because you do, you know, I've observed you walk and thread lines, right? And you do that so well because and that's awareness, I would perceive, because you have to be aware of who's your audience and what can they hear at any particular time.
Absolutely.
And how can I deliver that? How is that a muscle that you've just kind of worked for a while?
Absolutely. I become sensitive to who's in the audience.
Yeah.
Where am I speaking? So that I can actually speak universal spiritual principles that are not my opinion. They're just laws.
Yeah.
Just like gravity, you see. And then how can I apply these universal principles to what's happening today? And how can I say it in a way that's not going to shut anybody down?
Right.
You know, and to do it on such a regular basis that what happens is I'll go and speak and I'll say things, I'll start speaking with things that people already know.
Right.
So then there's a nod. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's true. And then I can start to pepper it with a stretch.
Right.
They're already doing this. So now they're open. Say, oh, I never thought about that. But I'm not speaking my opinion.
Right.
I'm speaking a truth.
Right.
You know, so then little by little, there's an opening. So now at Agape, it's a mature base of individuals who have for years taken classes, you know, done their own personal spiritual practice. So there's a base of evolved people. So when the new people come in, they're being activated by the base.
Right.
So there's already like a quantum field that becomes contagious.
Yeah.
So that I can sometimes have to say something that might be challenging, but the base is very powerful.
Right.
That helps the people that are new assimilate it faster, you see. And so, yeah, I can remember things I said years ago where people walked out on me, or, you know, I remember one time when George Bush was invading Iraq, and I said, and he was lying about the fact that he was going to be there for a couple of months to do a few things.
Right.
And I said, I need you guys to keep this CD for a number of years, because what I'm going to say is going to stand to be the test of time. I said, he's not going to be there a couple of months. They're going to be there for years. They're going to just kill millions of people. They're going to destroy. They're going to loot. I went through it, and I said,
no weapons.
These weapons. I said, you know, you think what I'm saying right now is political, but it's really not. I'm just telling you about a paradigm in which we're living that is running the show. People left the church, you know, the community. And then years later, they came back.
Right.
Said, oh my God, you were right. You know,
playing the long game too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're playing the long game. You're
Yeah.
playing like beyond their maybe acute
Right.
reservation of seeing those things. I remember this comes up. I think of this all often. You remember in the 80s when Oprah
Hmm.
took a stand? She kind of went out there and kind of started talking about her spiritual side.
Yep.
And in the and wasn't received at all.
No.
She actually had to shut it down and then kind of reorient herself. And then, of course, later she has you on.
Right,
She
right,
has
right.
Eckhart Tolle, and now the world
It's caught up.
is caught up.
Oh, yeah. She had a very strong Midwestern female Christian base.
Mm.
And so when she started going outside of that and started speaking about universal spiritual principles, and then remember, she was attacked because she talked about the beef industry.
Oh, God.
You remember that?
I will never eat, what was it? I will never eat a hamburger again.
Oh, my God. And the beef industry attacked her.
Yeah.
And that's when she met Dr. Phil.
Right.
Because Dr. Phil then helped her attain some kind of peace going through that.
Mm.
And then that spun off into the Dr. Phil show.
Wow.
And she made a decision. Was she going to be Jerry Springer and do drama? Or was she going to be Oprah and speak about possibility of the human condition? And everyone told her that her show was not going to make it if she started doing positive TV. That if she didn't have drama, didn't have negativity, didn't have fighting, that it wasn't going to make it. And she proved everyone wrong and became the #1 show on television for years.
Yeah.
Bringing in possibility, bringing in affirmation. It was, and she proved everybody wrong.
Yeah.
So we've watched the arc of evolution from that which was peripheral that has now become central.
Yeah.
Every school kid knows about the law of attraction.
Yeah.
Every little kid knows about visualization.
Yeah.
It's become a part of society.
Yeah.
But in those days, it was like, ooh, woo, woo. I used to say people would rather get busted reading porn than get busted reading some metaphysical book.
Yeah.
Oh, are you reading metaphysics? No, it's porn.
Yeah. They don't. Yeah, because it's too weird. I remember What the Bleep Do We Know came out. It kind of, it had a little bit, and then The Secret just exploded. And you can think about that in terms of consciousness. Clearly,
Right.
the consciousness was ready for something.
It touched millions and millions of people about the possibility of your own intention, your own mind. Yeah. Your own sovereignty, even though it was built around materialism at the time, how to get stuff.
Right.
But it still opened the door,
Yeah.
for, I can have a better life. I'm not stuck with my genes. I'm not stuck with where I was born. I'm not stuck with whatever.
Yeah.
I can actually change it.
And I just like you said, at least now I'm stepping into that intention zone that I wasn't before because I thought all of this stuff was locked in.
Right. My genes, my DNA, where I was born, what side of the tracks I came from, that's my karma.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, what are you stoked on right now? I mean, you're still like, we listen to you every chance, and it's just so powerful, everything that you do. And I love that you're getting the superfoods out there. And listen, I've been in that world, and it's so fulfilling to give someone something that they get fulfillment from in so many levels, and makes it convenient to
one scoop.
Yeah, one scoop. What are you stoked on right now? What are you really focused on? It could be something that you're taking action on or not, but
again, you talked about playing the long game.
Yeah.
And when I look at the arc of 30, 40 years up to this moment, I can actually see the evolution of our species. Even though we're in the midst of gun killings, racism, we're in the midst of war, I can actually see that it's like the last gasp of an old paradigm. I can see it because I can see the evolution of what's coming in. I mean, you go back a number of years ago, the word compassion was not a part of the Americana.
Right.
The Dalai Lama introduces Tibetan Buddhism, meditation, compassion, kindness. And so you actually see the evolution of moving from the John Wayne swagger to the Buddha smile within the last 30 years.
Right.
So I am stoked about what's happening to humanity. Even though if you look at the news, you see the lowest common denominator of the human experience. So this is what I say to people. I say there's two kinds of reporting going on. There are the reporters of from the old paradigm. Might makes right. People forget that the news is really paid advertising. Pharmaceutical companies, dairy, media industries basically fund the news. So you're going to get the old paradigm. And then there's what we're doing today. We are reporters of the new paradigm. And our voice is getting louder and louder. Instagram lives, podcasts, books, retreats. The reporters of the new paradigm is getting louder and louder. So we are reporting about possibility, and that voice is becoming louder. So I'm very stoked about that. Yeah. So even though I can look at what's happening in the present moment, I can see intuitively what's trying to emerge, and I speak from that. Yeah. It fuels me. Yeah. I wake up with a sense of lightness in my spirit. I don't deny that X amount of people just got killed over the weekend from assault rifles. I don't deny that someone goes into a church and kills people. They're demented, they're sick. I don't deny that. I'm not denying the pain and the suffering that humanity is going through. But I also can't deny the arc of evolution that's taking place, and that we're hitting a point where people will say, this cannot happen anymore. Yeah. That there's going to be so much pain and suffering that people are going to say, you know what? This has got to stop. Yeah. You see? So I feel the pull of the future, which I'm living in it now.
Amen to that. Yeah.
I'm living in it now. And this came about because people keep asking me,
what are you doing?
What do you take? What do you take? And I say, oh, okay, I put this green into, I put this in it, I put this in it, and then I take rhodiola, and then I take ashwagandha, and I take maca, and I put it in my shake, and I do da-da-da-da-da-da. That's a lot of stuff. It's what I do.
Right.
So instead of doing all that, we just created this. Yeah. And said, you take one scoop, you get all the stuff I take, pretty much. In one scoop, your body gets the minimal requirements. So, now take it. Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Subscribe to it.
There it is. That's it. Well, if you wouldn't mind, I would love for you to drop in and do a little prayer for everyone who's listening.
Absolutely.
Or everyone needs to feel something, and selfishly, would love to hear that.
Let me take a little sip of my own juice.
Yeah.
And some of your own water.
You ready, everyone?
As you'll see, this tastes good. You know how a lot of greens you'll taste and you have to put maple syrup and a whole bunch of stuff in it? You don't have to do anything with that. Yeah, it has a lot of pineapples in it.
Nice and smooth, yeah.
All right, so I would invite everyone to just come to a complete stop. Now, if you're driving in your vehicle right now, don't do this. Just keep your eyes open and just be with the feeling tone of this. But everyone else, place your feet on the ground. This for today, have our hands in our lap facing upward as a sign of receptivity. As I invite each and every one of us to move into a state of gratitude for anything or nothing at all. Let's allow ourselves to be extremely grateful and thankful that we are alive, that we exist. And in this consciousness of gratitude, our perceptual windows are becoming clean and clear. We're able to see better through the lens of gratefulness and thankfulness. We're able to recognize that there is a presence that's never an absence, called by millions of names. Life itself, infinite presence, Mother, Father, God, the living one, divine intelligence, infinite love. Whatever name we choose to call it, we now call it forth as the activity of our awareness as I feel that I am at one with this presence. And from the depth of my own being, I have the privilege of speaking this word. For each and every one of us, knowing that this word is a vibrational frequency of wholeness, of vitality, of vigor, of wellness, of well-being, I get to speak it for each and every one of us, knowing that as I speak it, something wonderful is occurring. That every organ, action, function of our being is now being made every whit whole. Every organ, action, function of our being is coming under the aegis of the celestial body so that wellness and well-being reign supreme. I speak the word that the feeling tone of all needs met becomes so fired up within us that we're able to feel that in the midst of seeming lack, the grace of abundance takes over our life. That harmonizing prosperity, not materialism, but harmonizing prosperity, well-being, unfolds through us right now. That inspired wisdom moves through us in a language and in a way that we can understand, and it comes forward as guidance and wisdom that allows us to be safe and secure here and now. This is the word that I'm speaking. It's a vibration. It's a frequency that's now becoming so active in each and every one of us that we can walk on this planet, in the world as it appears to be, but not of the world as it appears to be. We're in this world, but we are of the unfolding of more good than we could possibly imagine, and that's called grace. This word is serving as a law of elimination to anything that would hinder, delay, or obstruct this, that we may be free and sovereign and allow ourselves to anchor the realm of ever-expanding good, which is another name of heaven, on earth, as it is in the heart-mind of the infinite. We are not dying to go to heaven. We are dying to our littleness, that we can reveal heaven is at hand right now through us, our thought, our word, and our actions. I give thanks for this, and I allow it to be so. Therefore, I can say unequivocally, and so it is, now and forever. Amen and Ashe. Oh.
Oh.
Mm. Mm. Life is good.
It is so good.
What a perfect environment.
Oh, man.
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
Mm.
Dude.
Mm.
Thank you
My joy.
so much. Life is full.
So as you do, they can tune in. AgapeLive.com and just catch the juice.
It's some serious juice. I encourage everyone to juice up. Juice up.
It's organic. It's organic. It's straight from the source.
Boom. Well, thank you, my friend. I'm grateful.
So we do a little shout out to Sean Stevenson for bringing us together again.
Sean Stevenson, the Model Health Podcast.
Right.
He is a brother. He is an amazing human.
Yeah.
Love that guy. And
I do too. That's my boy. Love him.
yeah. And he's
His wife Ann, the kids.
Oh, man.
It's a beautiful family.
oh. And listen, he's not shy.
No, he speaks it.
He does. And he's like, it's also not coming from me.
Yeah, it's science.
Here it is. He's not afraid.
Pure research, peer-reviewed research. Here it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Deal with it or not. Here it is. Beautiful. Thanks, Sean. And thank you, Rev.
And thank you, Darren.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man.
Cheers.